Is Maya. Happy Maya. Okay, a lot of you have problems with modeling, especially for face and so on and so forth. When you're modeling as such, you all have tried all these tools around here in the modeling toolkit. Yes? No? Yes, explored. Okay, if you're doing like a face, this is like a box modeling, correct? If I were you, I will start with this. Okay, I'll just show you a basic modeling. Control D. Control D is to duplicate. Okay, bring this, bring it big, and then you shape it carefully. Okay, before I start anything, I will just show this so I can see my border lines or all my outlines. So, yeah, a lot of things that you can do with here is when you're modeling, alright, do not smoothen the whole mesh. Okay, you want to display, you click on it, press number 3. It makes a round for you, right? You press number 1, you go back to normal, the original look and feel of it without converting to smooth. Smooth, last thing that you do. Okay, clear? So these are things that we missed out in the first few classes because we had all this wonderful holiday. Alright. So anyways, I'm just going to go back to basic. I'm going to refresh you a little bit. Alright. So when you're doing this, I'll show you a few things. So here, if I press 3, I get a round as such. This is a common round, meaning smoothness is not till the maximum. This is about like smoothness to 1. The higher you go, the smoother the object becomes. Okay? Just be careful with that. The last thing you do, remember, last thing you do is smoothing, not the first thing. To display, yes, you can. Press number 3, just to display. It's not smoothing. It's not smoothing at all. Just to display. You can press number 2 with the bounding box just to check out how is the actual model is all about. See that? So based on this is some sort like a sub-D modeling. Alright, based on this, as you can see, if I have a box, a surface will be smoothened like this if there is not much of divisions. Okay, so if I click this, I'll do another duplicate. I'll bring this over. So now, this one your personal preferences. If you like to work with bounding boxes like this, up to you. You press number 2 and work. If you like to work with smoothing just to see your result, then you work with smoothing. Right? If I work with smoothing, I press number 3. Even if I click on this, see, it works on the smoothing. It's just that your pivot point will not stick to the actual round. This is in order to show you, hey, look, smoothing means what happens. Okay, am I clear? Am I going too fast? Yes, no? Anyone lost? I'll go a little bit faster for this. Okay, now I'm going to hit back to 1, or I'll press number 2. If I want to have edge loops, or if I forgot to add my divisions in the beginning before adjusting all my vertices and so on and so forth, I want to add my edge loops. So what do? I use a multi-cut. Okay, I'll hold control and I'll do this. So this will only happen if your mesh distribution is proper. Okay, it will try to get the ring and so on and so forth. It's the same thing as the ring, it's another shortcut. Okay. So now if I add closer, see, if I add in the middle, see what happens. The whole form changes. Can you see? If I add another one more here, it becomes much more boxy. So it doesn't have the room to smoothen the whole surface, the edge here. Got it? Can? So if I add another one more here, see what happens. It's still square, yet it still have this beveled edges or chamfered edges. Make sense now? So if I want to go closer, I hit this. If I go closer, what happens? See that? This is what happens. Right? So if you want to have these creases to be like not too smoothen or not bias too much, then you have to add some divisions. Simple? See that? Kapush. Now this is more on the mechanical side. See that? See that? See the difference between this and this and this? I'll just off this. Can I? Yes. Yep. Yeah, the bounding mark is your origin. Alright. You press 1, it becomes just normal. Okay, I press 1, it still becomes a box. It is telling you before you smoothen, your smooth end result is going to look like that. So you see what happens if I smoothen this. I'll control D, I'll show you smoothing. I press smoothing, right? Combine, not combine, sorry. Press again, I'll press smooth. Where's Mr. Smooth? Kapush, right? I have divisions. The higher divisions that I go. So let's say you wrongly press smooth, right? And then your division is 1 and then you forgot already, or you don't want this, just go back to 0, nothing happens. From 1 onwards, it's smoothened highly. Okay? But my advice is do not go more than 3 divisions. More than 3, most likely it's going to crash. Okay? 2 will be safer side lah. Okay, this is what happens to smoothing. See that? And that. So if you were to make it into, sorry. My bad. Okay, if you were to add smooth and then you are going to still go ahead and modify your mesh, and this time you're going to cry. Why? Is because there's too many vertices for you to choose from. See that? Compared to this. So learn how to model in low poly modeling. So what I taught you was the technique that I'm showing you is low poly modeling. This one, if you are doing like sculpting and all that, then yes, you need this much of meshes for you to do sculpting. It becomes like a clay. Got it? So unless if you're not doing sculpting, don't bother doing smoothing just yet. Alright, always save the low poly, and then if you plan to add smoothing, that's the last thing that you add, and then save it as high poly. Get what I mean? So easier for you to come back again if you manage to if you're lost in some sort of along the way and you want to tweak and so on and so forth. Best is come back to your low poly. Or you can do a duplicate and save it in your layer editor, high poly and low poly. Can? Super simple, huh? Some few techniques. Right. Another thing is, this is what commonly done. Once you have finished, you're happy with your model, you want your model to be as such, you know it is something like this, you're fine, you have already added textures and so on and so forth. What you have to do is you have to choose all your models and then go to edit. You have to delete history. The reason why you have to delete history is for you to not have too many what they call modifiers that is stacked up, and it would only build your file size bigger. And tendency for you to crash is very high. The more empty the stack is, right? The more empty the stack is, the better the file is, the smoother the file is, the less what they call reading it does, or the file size is really small. Okay, imagine you put layers of files, and then you in a file you have a lot of pages. What happens? You have to read through one by one to get the end result, right? So if it's just one page, just open up one, easy. Let's put it in a layman terms. Okay, the more stacks you have, a lot of things the program needs to read through. That's why it becomes heavy. So if it's deleted, it's much more lighter. That's why the tendency, a lot of them, the first starting, they will have all these blue screens and so on and so forth. Laggy. You're good? Okay. So normally when I'm looking at this, I know the end result is going to be number 3, something like this, right? So now if I were to model this into a face example, I'm just going to copy here. You all know how to do your base mesh already, the silhouette form and all that. You can do you can do minor tweaks. Go back to here, modeling toolkit, or you just pick up the face, whichever that you are familiar with or you like to work with. You just have to tweak a little bit like that. That's fine. Right? Too much, not yet, because you might lose you might get lost along the way. For the first start, okay? Once you get to know, you're familiar with it, then you can choose whatever methods that you want. So remember, this class is more on the basics first. Okay? Right. So now if I want to model, I know the head is going to be something like this. Right? If I'm going to have a similar face around here, which means I want to have like a cylinder, I'm going to just chuck the cylinder around here, or I just press V, I can just drag this to any of the vertex. You press V, it snaps to the vertex. Press C, it moves around. CV, I've already given you all the shortcuts, so have a look at it. Okay, so when you move this along here, or you want to snap it straight to your vertex, just to make your life easier, okay, you just snap it there. And then if you want to rotate this, okay, as you can see here, it rotates. You see the value here, right? It rotates by 0.1 decimal, right? So 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So if you want to have it like relative, like for instance by 5 degrees every time you rotate, then you can go back here on the modeling toolkit, and then you can adjust this step snap. Okay, so here this one is for which part that you want to show your pivot point. Alright, if it's object, then it follows the object position. If it's world, then it's following whatever you're seeing within the whole Maya what they call layout, okay, panel by itself. And then component and Gilmal, you have to test it and see, right? So that's a little bit on that. So you can on here, you see this step snap, you can go to relative or absolute. Okay, relative, how many by 15 degrees. So let's see here. Go like, see that? It moves from 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. If you are the mathematical dude who really goes for, by calculative stuff, especially when you're doing architecture, this is very important. Okay, how many degrees you want to move, and especially when you're doing like animation, for instance, right? So you have like how many degrees for mathematical purpose, right? By matrix, then you go for 15 degrees and so on and so forth. Okay? Can? Alright, cool. And then you can play with absolute if you want to. Just test and see. See what happens to absolute. So absolute will only lock straight away 15. Alright? It doesn't have that other decimals behind it. So it's 15 degrees means 15 degrees. If I put 0.05, if here, below here the snapping, step snap, if I put 0.5, then it will recall that 0.5. Like for instance, I put 5 here. And then I'll just go ahead and rotate this. I'll go back to channel box. I rotate this. See that? Make sense? Alright. This is extra information for those who really want to go deep. Okay? This part of it. Okay. I'm just going to go here and just come back here. I'm just going to off this. If I off this, this one is freeform. I can rotate in any angles, no matter how much of decimals that I want, I'll just rotate it. It doesn't snap to any 15 degrees. There's no lockdowns for it. Okay. So example, I've already made this about 90 degrees, let's say. Push. And then I have a face somewhere here. One eye. And then I control D. I have another eye. If I cannot see, what I'll do is I'll just click on this dude so I can see with my wireframes. Right? So if I have something like this and then I want to have like a jaw. Right? Something that is closing like this and opening. Right? How do I model that? I don't want to go ahead and model together symmetrically. Right? I just want to model one part and then I just copy paste reflect. Right? How do I do that? Very simple. I will click on first, either I'll go for a box, press V, I'll snap it here first and I'll just do this in the beginning. Okay. Right. Once I have this, do I need anything inside here that is overlapping? No. Right. So what do? I go here, I go to my faces, I will delete all this first. Okay. I'll make it into a plane. So it's easier for me to build the shape. So just now, if you put a box, that is to represent your first initial shape, your form. Alright. Now you are making it detailed. So now, if I wanna have like an edge loop here, another one more division. What I do? Go here, pick this, or just go to multi-cut, hold Control. I will try to point it straight to the middle. But control like this, it's hard. Right? Why? Because you don't know where is the middle. Got it? So you don't use multi-cut for this. This is where you choose this dude, 1, 2. Alright? You do a connect. See that? So it's directly in the middle. Make sense now? Press enter. Now you have this. I will start doing that. Okay? So now I will, how do I model the whole thing? Pick this, our friend, delete. Okay? You delete this to half of it, but you know it's going to reflect the other side. Right? So now go to your object. Make sure that your pivot point is snapped to the edge here or the vertex, anywhere that is going to be connected to. So you need to know your middle point. Right? How do I do that? Press insert, or for Mac dudes you have to press K if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Press insert. Alright, you see the icon changes, the pivot point changes, right? So now once you press V, I can just snap it straight to my vertex. See that? I press, and then I press insert again and kapush. It's now been snapped to this point. So anything that I rotate from, I will rotate from here. See that? It's like how you do it in Photoshop. You change your anchor point, the same thing you are translating it to 3D. Got it? These anchor points and all that is very, very important. This pivot point. Okay? Insert. For Windows it's insert. For Mac it's K. Okay? And then you press back insert. It's like onning and offing. Right? So let's say you want it to be back in the middle of the object by itself. Guys, if you want back the pivot point back to the middle of the object, what do? Just have to click on this object, and now since you have this dude icons around here, it is called center pivot. Just click that, it will go back to your center of the object. It will find the center of the whole object. Got it? Click this here. Last time we don't have this option, right? Now you have this on the shelf. Okay? If you don't see this on your shelf, the center pivot around here, what do? Go here, modify, center pivot. Pivot. Under modify, center pivot. Got it? Alright, cool. I'm just going to undo back. I'll just press insert. I'm going to drag it back to where I want it to be. Okay. Now, if I want to do this half and then I just want to focus on this half, the other one is going to automatically be modeled. So what can I do? You can have like edit, duplicate special, click on the box first, okay, and then do instance, not copy. Copy, it's practically copying the whole thing, photocopying. Instance, it is whatever you are doing here, it will reflect on the other reflected model. Got it? So here you have to know which translate that you want to go. It's either scale -1, whichever negative, just press apply. See that? Normally on the Z axis or Y axis. You just check whichever one, just put negative. That's it. Simple, huh? Put negative, it will reflect straight like this. And then apply. Now I've already done 2. Okay? Or once you click duplicate special, the next round, I'll do Control Shift D. I'll do that. It will happen straight like this. So what does it do now? If I were to add a multi-cut, Control, I add here, see that? It happens there. If I add here, it will do the same thing on the other side. Okay? So I just have to, move this dude and it will move. Okay? I can do that. Can you see how it works? Where were you lost? Everywhere? Are you seeing or are you not seeing, or what is it? What is it you're not understanding? The last step? This curve? Just move lah.